This week I'm driving the 2007 Audi S6 V10. Today I'm reviewing this pretty rare car. It's an Audi S6 V10 I bought and found on Autobidmaster.com. After a few weeks at the auction, I did some repairs on this car. Now it's worthy to be driven on the road and all safe and all that. We'll go a little bit deeper today to see all the details and the things that make this car pretty special and one of the last V10 sedan on the road. Under the hood of this Audi S6, we can find obviously a V10 5.2 liter, good for 435 horsepower and 398 foot-pounds of torque. This is a 40 valve engine, pretty big engine, pretty similar engine we can find under the hood of a Lamborghini Gallardo, Huracan, Audi R8, even the Audi S8 had this V10 engine. It's a pretty nice V10, one of the last V10 remaining on the road and still on production today. So that makes this V10 a pretty good engine so far, pretty good run overall, especially for a V10 these days with the emissions and all that. This engine is matched to a 6-speed transmission. Quick reminder, we're back in 2007. There's no 9 and 10 speed and all that, and we don't have those fancy new transmission. Old school automatic transmission inside of this Audi S6. But still a pretty unique piece just to see that engine under hood. You can also find your next car or your next project on Autobidmaster.com. Just like me, use code JOEL50 to get $50 off on advance or premium membership. All right, I'm gonna test the acceleration with the Audi S6 V10. This car is pretty heavy, 5,666 pounds. Similar kind of weight to a Tesla Model S or new electric cars. We've got a big V10, obviously, quattro system, so all-wheel drive. So we're gonna test it. There you go. Not super aggressive off the line, but after that, you know, the V10 is picking up the pace and it gets a little bit more quicker. Obviously, that transmission is not the best. We don't have any launch control or any fancy electronics, but still we're able to do the 0 to 100 kilometers in about 5.9 seconds, just under 5 seconds. Quarter mile in about 13.9 seconds, and a top speed of 250 kilometers, and this top speed is limited. And I'm pretty sure with that V10 and that gearing, this car can reach the 300 kilometers an hour easily. All right, quick background for this Audi S6. This is the C6 generation, they call it, from 2006 to 2011. They were the only S6 equipped with a V10. Back then, you can also have the S8. The RS6 back then had the V10 B-Turbo. So the V10 B-Turbo was good for 580 horsepower, 479 foot-pounds of torque, almost 600 horsepower back then. That was a lot of power, and I'm pretty sure, you know, I've been looking online at some stats, and this generation of RS6 was the quickest from all the generation to do the 0 to 300 kilometers an hour. It was about like 30 seconds, something like that. It's quicker than the latest generation of RS6. So it's just to give you some perspective of that V10. If you're adding some turbos to it, how much power you can get out of those engine. Obviously, if you're a fan of any half mile, 1 mile racing, you've seen some Huracan, Gallardos, R8 equipped with twin turbos, crushing numbers at the track. So yes, this V10's got a lot of potential. So what it is like to drive this Audi S6 on the road? First of all, pretty comfortable, but still a sport kind of ride, I could say. But that V10, you know, on the highway, oh my God. And so it comes alive on the highway. 0 to 100 kilometers, not the quickest, but over 100 kilometers. This thing is built for the Autobahn. So much power on the highway with that gearing. So much fun to drive on the highway. If you like driving long trips on the highway, you like sleeper cars, you like big engines with a lot of like pedals to, you know, to go at higher speed on the highway, this car is really something else. You know, it's really the opposite of electric cars. You know, lately, last week I drove the Mercedes-Benz EQS and also the BMW i4. These cars are so quick off the line, you know, 0 to 100 kilometers. They're so quick. But most electric cars, you know, when you step it on the highway, they're not really quick because they don't have a transmission and all that. Some of them have a transmission if we're looking at the Taycan or maybe the Tesla Plaid, but still, nothing like a big V10, you know, singing on the highway. You know, it's just all about that powertrain inside of this car, obviously. It doesn't need to rev out to give you some performance. You just need to press it a little bit and boom, you've got, see, right now, I'm over the limit easily, just like that. I don't have to floor it. I don't need to wait to spool the turbos or something like that. So much raw power of that V10. I love it. Handling wise, this is a pretty big car, pretty heavy car. I say it's pretty good, you know, for the amount of weight. I'm able to push it. It's still fun to drive. The steering wheel is still light for this type of car, this type of like big quattro heavy weight sedan. It's fun to drive. You don't feel inside of a pretty big large sedan. You know, I don't feel like inside of the EQS I drove. They were almost the same size next to each other. You still, you know, feel inside of a S from Audi model. Still fun to drive. I love those highway, you know, Autobahn type of like sedan like this one. They're still fun to drive. Obviously, this is not the type of car you're gonna bring to the track. It's way too big. It's way too clunky with the quattro. But if you use it to do some stuff on the highway, do some kind of rally gumball or something like that, these cars were built for that. If we're looking at the design of this S6, you really have to be a connoisseur to tell it's an S6. One of the only ways to really tell it's an S6, it's by those marker lights in the front. And you have to notice there's 5 on each side, so 5 and 5 equals V10. This is how you can tell. So with those marker lights, when you see those 5 and 5 on each side, that means that's a V10. That's how you can tell that's a S6. But otherwise, you know, you really have to know your Audis. It's a true sleeper. There's no real special bumpers, I could say. It's really hard to tell the difference between an A6 or S6. The RS6 got a different front bumper, but not really. This one is really similar to the A6. There's no special spoilers, nothing really special in the back. We've got a quad exhaust. This car is really, really quiet. I wish we can hear a little bit more the V10. Hey, look underneath this car. We've got a bunch of resonator, a bunch of cats, a bunch of mufflers. This car really needs an exhaust to hear that Lamborghini sound out of it. But otherwise, you know, style-wise, maybe if you really know your Audi, we've got some special 19 inches wheels. Nothing special with those wheels. But overall, a really clean car. From my point of view, this car doesn't look outdated. but overall it's a true sleeper from my point of view. Stepping inside of this Audi S6, classic Audi from 2007. We've got some real carbon fiber inside, really nice touch. I prefer this than over the wood. The wood looks outdated by far. Obviously, we've got all the gadgets from back in the day. We've got a screen, we can do a lot of things with it. There's a GPS, we can plug our phone. But for me, what really makes this car really special other than the V10, it's really those seats. You've got those RS6 seats, really nice seats. It's really a nice, comfortable seats with support. Even if you're a big guy like me, it's really made, you know, for big guys like me. You know, if you're tall and large and you like sports seats, those are the ideal seats. Really comfortable for 2007 seats. Plenty of space in the rear seat, so no problem to bring adult, even if those adults sit behind myself. So fantastic. It's a big sedan. We've got a big trunk, plenty of space to carry probably 4 bags of golf. So perfect car to go to the golf course. But otherwise, you know, we've got some good old school quality leather inside. Nothing to complain here. We've got some paddle shifters to switch our gears when we put it in the Triptronic sport mode. Otherwise, we've got some S6 touches, but pretty nice interior. And other than the screen in the metal, the rest feels kind of normal for these days. Fuel economy wise, obviously this car is pretty heavy, and also, you know, we've got the Quattro with the big V10 and all that. If you're gentle with it, you can do 12 liters per 100 kilometers. Obviously, if you're starting to have more fun, also if you do more city driving, it can goes up into 13, 14 liters easily. But still, you know, decent for, you know, back in the day, considering you have a V10, you don't have a fancy latest technology in the transmission. It's decent. Obviously, it's not the best, but for a V10, it's acceptable. Price-wise, back in the day, the MSRP on this Audi S6 fully loaded was around $109,000 Canadian. Today's market, depending on the condition of this car, you can buy this Audi S6 between 15 to 30,000 Canadian. Still, you know, if you can find one at 15 in good condition, between 15 to 20, it's a solid car. You know, with the V10, it's probably the last opportunity to own a V10. I don't think these cars gonna go lower than that price wise, because the V10s are getting so rare. We're switching in the direction of EVs and all that. I think this is probably your last chance to own a V10 for, you know, for a cheap price. If we're looking at older V10 on the market, probably a Viper or maybe the BMW M5 with the V10, they're way much more expensive than this S6. And you know, these S6 are not common. They're pretty rare. There's not a lot of people knows about them. I think you're gonna run into less trouble than the BMW M5 V10. These were notorious to have like tons and tons of trouble, but they had a really nice sound. I think you know, adding some mods to this S6, like an exhaust, maybe some wheels, maybe a new grille and all that, will be fun and makes a really nice ride. But overall, you know, right now what I'm doing with this car, you know, I'm restoring this car. I just want to put it back in good shape. Did some repairs to the suspension, change the tires and all that, and overall, you know, so far it's a really nice ride. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this Audi S6 V10? Do you think it's a good purchase? Do you love the V10? Do you like this different experience? You know, from my point of view, I really love it. You know, it's really different from any everything I'm driving lately. Yes, I'm a powertrain type of guy. I love these type of powertrain. I love big engine, big V8, big V10, big V12. I love that. Maybe the envelope is not like a Lamborghini, but just having that V10 for me, it's just magical. This week at the same time I'm doing this review, I'm driving the Ford F-150 Raptor with the EcoBoost, and from my point of view, that engine doesn't match the envelope. I don't like that powertrain inside of the Raptor. This Audi S6 is really the opposite of the Raptor. It's got that sleeper envelope with an amazing engine under the hood. I love it. If we're looking at the Raptor, it's got that massive truck, massive wheels on 37-inch tires, but you've got that funky sound, kind of like a Nissan 350Z getting out of the exhaust. For me, it's not working out. I love these type of cars. Sleeper, big engine, fun on the highway. I really love it. I wish I could keep it for a bit longer, but this car actually right now is for sale. So if you're interested to buy it, I'm gonna put my email address in the description if you're interested to buy it. And also don't forget to check out Autobidmaster.com. I'm gonna put some links in the description. If you wanna find your rare gem just like me, check out their website. It's worth it. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and we're gonna see each other on our next review.